Things have been going really well so far on YouTube because realistically, I've only been on YouTube for 7 months, and out of those 7 months, I've only been recording for 3 months, right? So June 6th was the first video that I posted that was really like, doing something. So I like to think that everything's going pretty well. So with that being said, let's keep things going with some more characters explained. Because I don't know about you guys, but I personally like talking about these characters. JJK characters are pretty interesting. And you know who's really interesting is the disaster curses. Because those dudes were not just trying to create a world of curses and humans not really being in it, but they were also sitting there with Kenny Kenjaku. You already know Kenny Kenjaku 2024. And they were trying to work with him in order to steal Gojo. So, Kenjaku, he had his own plan, right? We'll talk about his plan. I'm going to do a whole video covering his plan. And his plan was not what the disaster curses wanted. He just wanted their abilities, right? If you watch like the end of season 2, then you know that he was really trying to get Jogo and Mahito's abilities. If he could have gotten all of them, probably would have been sick. But in all reality, he probably only wanted Dagon's ability for his domain expansion because his domain expansion is beautiful. But all that being said, we're gonna cover the disaster curses, not all in one video. All right, don't get too excited. Not all in one video. But what we will do is cover them individually, and then we're gonna do a ranked and explained on them in the future after I do all their videos. That way you could go ahead and get a little bit more of a background on them if you want to, focus on a little bit more on a specific character. All right, cool. So today we are going to start off with Hanami. So Hanami is a special grade unregistered cursed spirit. She, like all the other disaster cursed spirits, are based off something that is natural. So she is based off of land, basically. So she is like a land natural disaster based off cursed spirit. So, earthquakes, things like that, right? So Hanami is like in presence, like she is, I'm saying she, but it's a cursed spirit. So even though like Mahito could be considered a he, Jogo considered a he, it's really like they, because it's not really like they have a gender. They're just cursed spirit. So don't get offended if I say she or they when I'm speaking about Hanami, or in the future him or they when I'm speaking about Jogo or Mahito. They're cursed spirits. They're not people, so they don't really have a gender per se. But refer to them however you want to make you feel more, comfortable. This is the cool thing about Hanami. I'm starting off with their parents because I really want to touch on this. When we first see Hanami wearing that, on the left arm, they got that whole, like bag on it, like bandage type materials. It looks like it's stitched into them. Yo, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That was a nice character design because in my head, I'm like, so what's underneath it? So what's underneath the bag? And then when we finally get to see it, when she's fighting against Yuji and Todo, we finally get to see it's a black arm with the flower on the shoulder. And I'm like, okay, so one, it's hidden, which means like if we know anything about hidden parts of the body, let's refer to Naruto real quick. My man Kakashi with the Sharingan, my man Danzo with his right arm covered in Sharingans, bro. And like the crazy thing is with Naruto, I didn't even read the manga with it. I just watched the anime. And bro, if I read the manga and got to see that arm beforehand, I would have been waiting for that arm to be animated because I would have wanted to see it so bad. But once we finally got to see it, super sick. Same thing for Hanami's arm, super sick. She got the black arm with the rose there, and this I actually did not know until I did the research for this video, bro. Hanami's arm, that's the domain expansion basically. So what I mean by that is Hanami does have a domain expansion. And in my domain expansion video explained, I was saying how it would have been sick to know her domain expansion. I found out the details of the domain expansion. So the domain, you guys almost got me there. No. We'll talk about the domain expansion towards the end of the video. That way I got you for the full video, right? So you already know we're going to talk a little bit about the personality of Hanami, and then we're going to talk about the skill sets, all right? So let's start off with personality. So Hanami's personality is pretty straightforward. They care about their other cursed spirits, and they believe in Jogo's plan of taking over the world basically as cursed spirits. But there was a dark side to Hanami that she didn't know about until she had a conversation with Mahito and then she met Yuji. So Hanami was all about just like, okay, like, you know, I'm gonna ride for my. It was like the Dom Toretto of cursed spirits. I'm gonna ride for my family. I'm gonna ride for them. I'm gonna do whatever they need. They have this plan that like, yo, cursed spirits, we are like the pure emotion. We should be in charge, bro. We are pure emotion. It's like Homelander thinking that, yo, superheroes should be in charge. Why are normal citizens in charge when we should be in charge? That is like what Hanami's like mindset is, like trying to tag along with Jogo and Dagon. Because realistically, Jogo saying that Mahito's mindset is that cursed spirits should be on top, but realistically, Mahito kind of just wants to, you know, kill humans. He doesn't really care about who's on top. Because as we see later on into like Shibuya, Jogo's the one who really sticks to that idea of we should be like the pure spirits, like we should be the rulers, like we should be, the world should belong to us. Where Mahito's more like, I just kind of want to do what I want. I don't really care who's in charge. I kind of just want to do what I want. So we're going to see in that Mahito Explained video where he is the like closest to Sukuna when it comes to cursed spirits than any other cursed spirit. But this is a video about Hanami, so let's stop talking about them and let's get back to Hanami. So Hanami's personality, like I said, rides for the fam, believes in Jogo's plan, and the last thing is that Mahito kind of corrupted her mindset about battle because cursed spirits have that innate like hatred into them. So battle or anything chaotic or toxic, they thrive in that because they're negative emotion. They're created from negative emotion. So Hanami, once she entered into a battle where she couldn't easily win, because let's be honest with ourselves, Megami and Maki were not giving her a fight. So when she entered into battle with Yuji and Todo, and she couldn't easily overcome them, and she had to like actually fight them, that fueled her and made her more powerful. It was kind of like in Dragon Ball Z when you get that Zenkai boost when you're taking damage and you go up in strength because they're Saiyans and they're just broken. It's like that, but just in mentality. So cursed spirits actually, even cursed sorcerers, anybody using cursed energy, if your mentality is, I'm that guy, let's get into this, let's get active, you get active because your cursed energy just starts to flow better. Like you get more like naturally into the mode of controlling your cursed energy instead of, because people, this is the mistake that cursed spirits and cursed users or sorcerers make, is that when you're trying to use your cursed energy, you're thinking too much. Like Megami, he thinks too much, and that's why he used his domain expansion. It was an incomplete domain. You're thinking too much. You need to feel it, and you need to just like let your instincts take over. And that's why when we see Gojo really in that mode, he looks a little bit like messed up in the head. It's because his instincts are taking over, and he's not really thinking. He's more so like thinking like, yo, I'm him. Like he's thinking like that. So like for my like non-Gen Zers, basically the translation of what I just said is think more about just like winning the fight instead of what moves you need to do to win the fight. So just think, instead of thinking if I throw a left right after a right because I haven't thrown a left in like the last 6 moves, stop thinking like that and just throw the left. Just toss it in there, or even just fake it out and then just do a bicycle kick, bro, like a mid-air bicycle kick. Just do something that like, you know, you're feeling like, if say like you're thinking, oh, I haven't thrown a left punch in a minute, right? Let me throw a left. Bro, if your leg feels real good right now out of nowhere, you ever get like that where like you like, it's, say like for me, like when I'm working out, say it's leg day, right? But my shoulders just feel like they can lift heavy today. I might switch it up and just do shoulders. It's just that simple. That's basically what Mahito is telling Hanami, like, hey, just go in there and just feel the battle. Let the battle flow into you. Stop thinking so much and just let the battle flow into you. So when Hanami met Todo and Yuji and she couldn't easily win, she started thinking like that, and then things got different, bro. That fight got different after that. But now that we got the personality out of the way for Hanami, let's get into the 13 methods to ranking somebody's abilities, all right? So, as always, I got my book over here, you know, my fancy little JJK book. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the ranking system and how we go ahead and rank people here. All right, so we go off of skill, durability, strength, speed, endurance, reflexes, intellect, hand-to-hand combat, that's a big one, cursed energy, cursed technique, reverse cursed technique, domain expansion, and lastly, anti-domain expansion. So, or anti-domain technique, my bad. So, depending how many of those blocks you check, depends how strong you are. And I don't know if you guys watch my Gojo and Sukuna video, but go watch that because them boys check the blocks. So, I'm going to tell you right now, Hanami doesn't check all the blocks. But we're going to get into how many blocks Hanami checks, and then you're going to be able to decide, like, whether my ranking of Hanami is correct or not, and, like, how strong she really is. So, let's get into it with skill. So, obviously, I'm starting off with the ones that Hanami checks. So, starting off with skill, I'm going to tell you right now, the key skill Hanami has is the ability to kind of hide their presence. So, there's two situations where Hanami shows the skill of hiding her presence, alright? Number one is going to be when we first see Hanami go near Gojo. When Hanami first went near Gojo, it was to save Jogo after he just got whopped by Gojo, right? It's kind of hard to say Jogo and Gojo in the same sentence so many times. Like, flip-flop, man, that's weird. But Hanami was able to use Flower Field in order to make it that Gojo and Yuji weren't focused on the battle anymore. And then she was able to kind of take Yuji and throw him into danger to distract Gojo. And she was able to take, she was able to take Jogo away from the battlefield and boom, vanish, disappear. Mind you, Gojo has the 6 eyes. He can see kilometers away. You think he couldn't see her from distance just because she's fast or something like that? No. It's not because of speed, bro. It's because of her presence. She's able to make herself feel like her soul feel like a normal person's. So instead of being a cursed user, cursed spirit, cursed sorcerer, so she just made it that she's a civilian. But on top of that, she's also able to hide her presence so well because she's able to merge into the ground. So this is how she actually got into the Kyoto Tokyo Sister School event. Hanami's able to go into the ground and in a sense get through any barrier because of her ability to just merge with the earth itself, being a land-based cursed spirit. So, that being said, Hanami's best skill set is the ability to hide her presence. Moving on to durability, because Hanami's durability, I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably the second best thing about Hanami. Because everything else after this, I'm going to tell you that Hanami does slightly well, but durability, ridiculously well. Her durability, because her skin is like armor, basically. Like, the sword that Miwa was using, that Maki stole, completely shattered after Maki swung it on her, right? Megami couldn't injure her at all. Nobody was able to injure her, and she was only injured slightly by Playful Cloud, which is a special grade cursed tool, slightly on the arm, because it was one, Maki. The second time that she got injured by Playful Cloud was Toto. Both of them have an immense strength. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Playful Cloud, which I will do a cursed tools and weapons and all that in a ranked and displaying video, but for right now, Playful Cloud is a special grade cursed tool which gets stronger based off of the strength of the user. So, if the user is Aoi Todo, who is actually ridiculously strong without cursed energy, uses Playful Cloud, then the impact will be stronger because it's Aoi Todo. So not only did she survive being hit by Playful Cloud, but stop me if you know this technique. Hollow Technique Purple. She survived Hollow Technique Purple in season 1, where, mind you, she was probably weaker because she hasn't had that much battle experience. She survived Hollow Technique Purple in season 1. And mind you, I mean, yeah, she barely survived it, but she survived it nonetheless and was there in season 2, bro. That is durability at its finest, because how many cursed spirits, users, sorcerers are going to survive Hollow Technique Purple? Okay? Like, that just shows it right there. Durability, top tier. Throw it on the board. So, strength and speed, she's definitely strong because she's able to knock out a sorcerer in, like, 1 to 2 hits. As far as extremely powerfully strong, not really. Like, there has been very few times we've seen her do anything extremely strong. So, I'm going to just say that for the average sorcerer, she's a problem. I mean, she's special grade, so of course she's a problem. But strength, I mean, if she connects, it's a problem, but that's about it. Speed-wise, she's pretty good. She's able to blitz Megami and Kamo pretty well. So that was a impressive feat, but other than that, the fastest accolade we've seen her do with speed is when she took Jogo's head and disappeared from the battlefield after Gojo finished putting a whooping on him. So, strength and speed-wise, that's the best we got for her. Intellect is pretty good because of the fact that she was smart enough to observe what to do in the battlefield. how to go at retrieving Jogo's head. You know, I go back to that a lot, but again, Gojo, he's the strongest. If you run into him not once, but twice and survive, you gotta be somewhat of an intelligent person, because there's no reason you should be surviving once, but twice. He made sure there wasn't a third time. He kind of focused on that, because I don't know about you guys, but Gojo, to me, took it personal that she survived that many times. So, intellect, pretty good. Cursed energy, I would say that Hanami has a pretty large pool of cursed energy because of the techniques she's able to create, the fact that she has a domain expansion, the fact that she's able to tirelessly use her innate technique over and over and over again after beating all the students down. And mind you, there was one instance where, I don't know if you guys caught this, but did you guys see where Toge was using his cursed speech technique? So that kind of tells us that Hanami has a good amount of cursed energy right there. The fact that Toge, who mind you was at this point semi-grade 1, so he wasn't sitting here being a grade 2, grade 3 scrub. No. Toge was one of the more impressive students. So yeah, Hanami cursed pool, we could go ahead and assume not only at the fact that she's a special grade curse bearer or a disaster curse, but we could just assume it's up there just based off the sure facts. Again, I'm gonna knock out 2 pretty quickly. We're gonna talk about anti-domain techniques with domain amplification, because it looks like almost all the disaster curses had this in their toolbox in order to keep up with Gojo. And it looks like Sukuna also piggybacked off the idea of domain amplifying himself. Basically, domain amplification is a barrier that you put around yourself that will nullify all curse techniques that you come in contact with, including your own, because you can't use your curse technique while using domain amplification. Doesn't work like that. So if you give up your curse technique for a given amount of time, you could cover yourself in an aura, kind of like how Muzan looked when he was storming the Demon Slayer Corps' hideout. If you look like that, then you can pretty much get through any curse technique, including the Limitless. Now, if Gojo exerts his Limitless a little bit more, and your cursed energy is not able to, overpower his, gonna be a little bit harder to be able to maintain that domain amplification. So, yeah, no, you gotta kind of use it right. Next one is reverse curse technique. This one's a given, because cursed spirits naturally have a affinity for reverse curse technique. You'll see more cursed spirits be able to heal themselves. Weaker ones are going to have a little bit of a harder time to heal themselves, but for the most part, special grades are instantaneous. Nobody pretty much heals themselves as quickly as Sukuna though, so just keep that as a caveat. Last couple things that we're going to hit on is the big ones that everybody loves to see. So we are going to talk about Hanami's innate technique, disaster plants, because I really like this technique. Disaster plants, we originally thought was Hanami using her cursed energy into the earth to manipulate the plants. Like, we thought the plants that she was manipulating were actually alive, like real plants. No, that's not the case. Hanami uses their cursed energy to create these plants that could disappear at any point. We saw that when Todo and Yuji were climbing up to go fight her in the air, and she just made her roots disappear. And then they were like, oh, she makes these. This isn't real plants. She's making this off of cursed energy, which is insane. So let's get into the 4 different types of plants that she makes. So she makes roots, wooden ball, cursed bud, and we talked about this one already, flower field. So roots is one of the ones that we see the most. It's probably the most offensive. Is literally roots. Like, it could be hundreds of thousands of roots, balled up together to make one giant root, or it could be like maybe 1 or 2 roots that are extremely thin, but shooting at you pretty quickly to stab you. So the roots are pretty fast if there's not a long range between you guys, and pretty strong. But if there's a long range in between you guys, then she could give up the strength and speed of the roots in order to increase that range. Besides that, we have wooden ball, which are those giant wooden balls that look like the roots are like entangled in order to shoot out like more roots, shoot out wooden like spikes in a sense. And the last thing that these wooden balls basically do is allow Hanami to float in midair. Kind of cool, kind of makes it that she can fly. Next we have Cursed Bud, which is a technique where she shoots out those like spikes in a sense, and they basically have buds at the end of them that consume cursed energy. So if you defend using cursed energy, the spikes get stronger. So the more cursed energy you try to use after a spike hits you, the stronger the spike, the cursed bud gets, and then the more it drains you of your cursed energy. So if you don't use cursed energy to defend against them, it's pretty simple. We saw that with Toto. And then Flower Field, we touched on it beforehand. Flower Field basically is a projectile shot into the ground, and then it releases a bunch of beautiful flowers. That makes it that you don't want to fight her anymore, or fight in general. So it's kind of a weaker technique because you kind of just smack yourself and then realize what's happening and then just kind of get back in the mode. But for a couple seconds, you know, I mean, like, she can make it that she takes your will to fight away. Pretty cool. And then the very last thing is that domain expansion that we didn't talk about beforehand, and that is Shining Sea of Growing Branches, which we don't see, but we could assume it's like roots take over the entire domain. So like you're probably in a domain full of roots, kind of how like Mahito's domain expansion have hands in it. It's kind of roots, I'm assuming. And the sure hit factor of the domain is that left arm's flower, when she drains the earth of like its energy and converts it into cursed energy and creates a flower beam. That's the sure hit attack. So you're gonna get hit by a flower beam that we could assume is pretty strong. So that's pretty deadly, I think. And I'm assuming the roots and whatnot could stab you. So like, yeah, pretty good. Not the worst. I'd probably rank it like 9. Like, so kind of the worst, but maybe 6. Maybe 6. We'd give it 6. We'd give it 6 on the list. I forgot what the rankings were on that list, but we'll give it 6. Also, a caveat to all this was in an interview with Gege, the guy who writes this show. Yeah, he said that barrage of black flashes that failed to mention that she withstood. That's why her durability is also another peak aspect of hers. Yeah, he said Jogo wouldn't be able to take the black flashes attack from Yuji in season 1, plus the attack from Toto from Playful Cloud. If he would have died from that and she didn't, her durability is crazy. So yeah, really cool. But what do you guys think of the video? You know, leave me some notes in the comments. Let me know how I did. Let me know which disaster curse you want to see next. And yeah, go check out my other videos. And also, guys, forgot to mention this at the start of the video. Subscribe. Please subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm. And we're trying to make that thing, you know, pop off. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video.